Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of JeremyCraft. My apologies for not putting out an episode last week. I've wanted to update that world tour video for a while now, considering the audio from it was using my old headset mic and it was pretty unlistenable. So I figured I'd spend some time last week just fixing up the video and just fixing up the audio with my new mic. But we are back this week. So what is the plan for today's episode? For today, there isn't any one thing I want to work on. I'm going to spend today just doing a lot of little projects. We're not going to be doing any major work on the Old West Town today. We're going to be maybe doing some work on the interiors of the buildings at the end of today's episode, but for the rest of this episode, we're just going to be doing small projects, mostly just cleaning up some of the things that have been left untouched for a little bit too long. We're going to try and do some work on maybe the dock over here, definitely try and do some work on the interior of the house, fixing up the back end of the lighthouse over here, and other small projects like that. And then on top of that, I've got two other things I want to get started on today. The first is that I want to get started on the Nether Hub finally. That's number one. The second thing I want to do is I want to go back to the end. We never really finished our end busting from way back in the episode where I got my shulker boxes for the first time. But I've been noticing that we are running a little bit low on space in our ender chest. We aren't necessarily running out of space in the sense that there aren't enough slots in here, but it would be very nice if we could clean this up a little bit by having a couple more shulker boxes and maybe some general empty shulker boxes that we could use just to pick up bulk items. I run into the problem occasionally where I'll just end up with a little bit too much material in my inventory and I want to put it into my ender chest, but there just aren't any free shulker boxes for us. So that would be a nice thing to get started on. It would really help us with some organizing and moving some mass items around. But that's my general plan for today. We'll probably finish off today's episode by working on those interiors. I've been doing some planning in my creative world, just figuring out what some of the interiors are going to look like. But plans can change. We'll see how today's episode goes. Maybe things will go a little bit faster or a little bit slower than we expected, but let's get started. Oh, one more thing before I forget. Now, this may be a bit of a controversial decision for some of you. I know some of you may be very against the idea of any modifications to the vanilla game. There is one though that I needed to make just to untie my hands in a sense. If you've been watching this whole season, then you'll know that in this series I'm not killing any animals, and as a result, acquiring leather is pretty difficult. I tried to get around it in the first few episodes by fishing and hoping that the loot drops from the fishing would give me leather, but it's proven to be a little bit too slow. Even with a really good fishing rod, it was just taking a lot longer than I would like, and as a result, we've been kind of hamstrung in our ability to decorate certain areas. And when I was doing some of the planning for the interiors of the buildings in the Old West Town, I realized that if we're going to be building all these villages in the future, it would be really nice if we had access to leather, especially for item frames. That's the big one. They're really useful tools for decorating interiors, and it would just be a shame if we went the entire season without being able to use any item frames just because I didn't want to kill any animals. So I have downloaded a data pack from the Vanilla Tweaks website, and this data pack allows us to turn rotten flesh into leather. If you drop it in a furnace like this, each rotten flesh will consume a bit of fuel to turn it into leather. And I kind of like this way of doing it. It's not like you putting it into a crafting table that it actually costs something, which is a nice way of balancing it. Instead of just getting free leather, I still have to work for it. I still have to get fuel for the furnaces. And to those of you who are not a fan of this change, I apologize, but this is, in my opinion, the only real way forward. So my apologies, but hopefully you guys understand. So the first thing I decided to do was the end busting trip, and I just wanted to share something that I thought was a little bit funny with you guys. You can see here I'm flying around trying to find an end city, and really struggling with some of the terrain generation. As I'm getting close to the edge here, everything's blinking in and out of existence, and then I stop here on this little island here, and use the refresh chunks to reload all this stuff in my area. And when I come back, the end city was right there. I had stopped just in front of the end city. I thought that was really funny. I couldn't see anything in front of me, but when I reloaded the chunks, it was just sitting right there. Alrighty guys, and we are back. We just finished our end busting, and we also cleared out 2 of the libraries that are in this stronghold. I think there's only 2. I didn't find any more when we originally checked this place out, but in this chest you can see all of the books that we got from that. That's going to turn into a ton of bookshelves for us, so this will be super helpful when we're decorating some areas, especially some of the villages that are going to need libraries, and my house as well. We've also got some nice books here. I'll scroll through them really quickly so you can pause if you want to read what they are. And then just some general stuff. I got a lot of iron bars from the stronghold as well, just because I figure those will be useful in the future. And then here's what we got from the end cities. Right here is just some general loot. Got a ton of random things. I got a lot of light sources, which will be helpful. And then just some random stuff, some extra glass, some potions, general stronghold stuff. But in this chest, we got a ton of nice stuff. We got some diamonds, which we actually got quite a few here, and 2 elytra. These 3 right here are kind of the prizes here. The rest of this stuff is pretty decent as well, but not nearly as nice as these things. But yeah, that stuff's gonna help a ton, especially the shulker boxes from now on. Having an easy way of just dumping large amounts of items into shulkers and carrying them around in our ender chest is gonna really make things easier for us. So I'm gonna get going on some of the detail work projects, some of the stuff on our island, the house interior and the back of the lighthouse, and I'll catch you guys when all that stuff is done. Hey guys, welcome back from the time lapse. We got quite a bit done here. I'm really happy with how the interior of this place is turned out. We have this main feature here, which I wasn't really 100% sure what to do. This was the biggest empty space in the house that I had to decide on what to do with, so I got some good suggestions on how to make this area look as nice as possible, but I'm really happy with this sort of like shelf and bookshelf mix and this little sitting area for I just realized I've put a table here as if this is somewhere to like eat. I'll probably change that, make it look more like a lounging area. Maybe put like a more of a coffee table than a piston table here, but I'll do that in the future. I didn't really think about that until just now. I have updated this with iron bars because some of the chickens that were wandering around were getting really close to the fire, like dangerously close, and it was kind of getting me a bit worried. So I put an iron bar. I think it actually looks better than the old system, so pretty happy with that. I've included up here a map of the island. One of the really nice things about this island too is it fits perfectly in the center of these 4 quadrants, so that was a nice little bonus. On the walls I've included 2 paintings here. If you've watched the world tour from before I started this season, you'll maybe recognize these 2 spots. Probably not that one, but these 2 paintings here are actually screenshots I took from that world. This right here is my ship that I built as my home for that world, and over here this is from the inside of the church. This little pedestal here is where the front of the church is, and this chicken just stood up like he was giving a little sermon, so I thought that was kind of funny. I took a screenshot of that and added it as a painting as well. As we build more villages or some interesting things prop up in our world here, I'm probably going to add more paintings like this. I really like the idea that the paintings sort of reflect the actual world itself, things that, villagers might have actually painted that live in this world, so I kind of like that, and I think I'm going to keep going with that. And then just over here, I've updated the desk that used to be here. I've added this little painting here, which I think fits this desk pretty well. And then just in here, I've got the kitchen. I've got a bunch of different stovetop style things and some just general stuff, a little brewing stand and a sink for water. And then the final thing that we worked on was this bedroom. So I've moved the bed from up against this wall over to this little corner, and I've added this little closet. So I think it's kind of nice. The good thing about this closet too is that these trapdoors don't actually block the light from these end rods, so it's another sort of hidden light source that just helps fill this area out a little bit. Then I've got this little nightstand sort of thing here with a barrel and some bookshelves and a little laundry hamper. And then right here, I've left this open because I was noticing that I was a little bit hesitant to come to this building to use the bed, because landing at the front door and then walking all the way through the inside, up the stairs, and to the bed was just a little bit longer than I wanted to spend every time I wanted to sleep. So when I'm over by my storage system here, I would just have the bed right here just for ease of access. But now that I've got that balcony, just a little bit easier for me to land and then go to bed. But I think that's enough work on the house for today. I think it's time to move on to some other projects. Alrighty, really quickly, we've just done some work on the house, but I want to try and get some work on the Nether Hub done. I know this grind is going to take a little while. It's going to take a couple of weeks, probably. Many hours to get all the blocks placed. So I'm going to try and get some of that done right now. I'm going to see how much of the Nether Hub we can get done in an hour or two. And I mostly just want to see if we can get a solid representation of how the final product's going to look so that I can really quickly check if I'm going to be happy with how it's going to turn out. And if not, we can always redesign it and rethink our strategy. So I'm going to get to work on that. I'll see you guys when the time lapse is over. Hey guys, welcome back from the time-lapse. So we've just finished placing a lot of the blocks here. Right here's the best representation I've got so far of how the final product's going to look because it's the only section that has both walls connected at the top. As you can see, the bottom floor is going to be mostly bottom half slabs so that the walls can sort of transition upwards like this. I think that's the best way to make it look as not boxy as possible, if that makes any sense. For the walls, there's going to be a little bit more texturing than this. This is just sort of the first pass through where I place mostly just solid blocks, and then later on I'll be finishing with the slabs and the stairs. But I'm pretty happy with how it's all turning out. I'm going to kind of bulk place the walls sort of how I've done it here as much as I can, and then come back through with the finer details, and then I'll do a third or final pass when most of the stuff is placed, just sort of tidying it up and really making it look as natural as possible. The one thing I have to be very careful of is that the very top section has to be as flat as possible, so I'll probably come back and fix some of this. That way when I'm flying, I can rest my head like that. I need to worry about that, so I can rest my head against the ceiling, because that's the easiest way to fly. It's not necessary, but it's just a little bit easier when the tunnel's this short. But I think that's enough for the Nether Hub. Let's get working on the Old West Town. Alrighty, now that we've done some jobs on the island, cleaning up the house and doing some of the interiors, I'm going to try and get some work done on the interiors of the Old West Town here. Before we can do that though, I'm going to have to go for a little bit of a mining session. We're just a little bit low on iron, which we need for lanterns and stuff. It's going to be pretty necessary for us to keep these things lit up, as you can see. So I'm going to go for a quick mining session, and once that's done, I'll get to work on some of these buildings, and I'll see how many we can do before we need to end the episode. Alrighty, we were only able to do 2 of the interiors, unfortunately. Just ran out of time this week. Want to get this episode out on time since last week there wasn't an actual episode, so I apologize if this one's running a little bit short. But really quickly, I'll just show you what we've done so far. We've got the interior of the bank here, which is the simplest of the buildings I designed. I just wanted to have the main desk and some little writing desks, and the vault, which will have a iron door here to lock it out for the public, and then inside here will be a small stockpile of the crystals that we're going to be mining down below in the ravine. And then I got to work on the hotel. I haven't done any of the detail work, like none of the rooms in here have beds or anything on the walls. And the section right here is going to have like a red carpet. And then upstairs, I've just got the same thing, 2 more rooms up here with nothing inside them yet. So I'm going to be trying to get more of the interiors done on the next episode. If you're interested in watching any of the progress of this town, I've started live streaming on Twitch. I'll leave my Twitch channel link in the description below for you guys. Most of the grind work that was done in this episode, between the Nether Hub, the interiors of these buildings, the mining session, and the work on my home, was all done during live streams. So if you're interested in seeing stuff like that in the future, you guys can come check out the stream. But that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions or suggestions for things you'd like to see us build in this series, please feel free to comment. That aside, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.